Hi, so I kind of wanted to make a different kind of content with this video. Um, I wanted to respond to Errant Signals' That's No Game. I'll provide a link in the description, but I'm sure if you're watching this, you've already seen the video. So, we'll start off the
There's been a lot of debate lately about whether certain video games are, in fact, video games. Games like The Walking Dead, or Dysphoria, or Dear Esther, or Proteus have each been accused of not really being games, sometimes even by people that like them. The argument is usually something along the lines of, they're neat experiences, but I don't know if I'd really call them games. But here's the thing, what constitutes a game is notoriously difficult to pin down. Much like defining art, it turns out that defining games is largely contextual.
So, he says that what makes a game is contextual. I agree that it's hard to come up with a definition for game, but I don't think it's just contextual. I'll come back to contextual later. But I think the first point is it's hard to come up with a concrete definition of anything that's not a scientific term. When I say something, I do not necessarily mean one specific concrete thing. I could be referring to a range of things, and some of these things could be quite different from each other. Like if I talk about happiness, I could be talking about the feeling I get from playing Fallout 4, or I could be talking about the feeling I get from getting married. Both quite different feelings, and both things that most people would say constitute happiness, if you happen to enjoy that kind of thing. So it's all in how specific you want a term to be. Do we want game to define a broad range of things like happiness does, or do we want game to be a more specific kind of word? I think we want game to be a specific kind of word that includes some kinds of digital media but excludes others. Why? Because that's how people have always used the term, and changing it now would make it significantly less useful. The term game encompasses a range of activity, but there has to be some commonality to this activity, or else what meaning does the term have beyond a meaningless noise? Here's what I think a game should be considered as. Gameplay. You have to be able to play a game for it to be considered a game. I know this is obvious, but I think it encompasses the problem a lot of people have considering walking simulators games. There's no gameplay there. Walking simulators just deliver story to you. Now you might say that walking simulators have gameplay. You have to control a character and walk around looking at things to get the story. But in what way is that different from turning the pages of a book to get more story out of the book? Both are activities that have to do to get story out of a piece of media, and neither makes the media a game. That the media is digital in one case and physical in another doesn't make any difference. Walking simulators build up a different way of interacting with the story that requires holding down certain keys and certain sequences does not make them games any more than the fact that you have to flip pages in a book to interact with the story makes books games. What I think makes this the most useful definition of games is that when people say games, they expect a level of interactivity that does not exist in a book or walking simulator. If we pretend that this expectation does not exist, we make the term game much less useful in telling people what the heck we're talking about when we say game. I want to now look at some of the problems Errant Signal has with various definitions of game, none of which is the one I propose. The first definition he proposes is that games are interactive systems. Obviously false, as he points out, because that would make traffic patterns games. What I want to say is that games are interactive systems designed for fun, not just interactive systems. Interactive software used for fun is his next definition.
Jobs as games. But if instead I say that games are interactive software used for fun, where does that leave card games or board games or sports or even, as I've mentioned before, games that aren't traditional?
I admit I skipped ahead here. All of his counterexamples are examples of non-software systems designed for fun, and I have avoided this trap by calling games systems of rules, not software.
Traditionally fun, like Dark Souls or Amnesia.
Then he brings up games that aren't traditionally fun, like Dark Souls or Amnesia. Well, if you aren't playing a game for fun, why are you playing the game? There has to be some reason you're playing the game, and I think that's because you enjoy the experience on some level. I think games are generally designed so that people will enjoy playing them. Now you could say that when you don't enjoy playing Dark Souls, that dying over and over is not fun, but you take it for the feeling, feeling you get when you beat the boss. and finally stop dying. To you, I would say that experience is fun, or because fun is a word that's kind of specific, you enjoy the experience. The game is designed to get you to play it because playing it feels better than not playing it. I don't agree with the definition of game is contextual. Sure, you could mean a lot of things when you say game, but those things have to all fall within a range. I think that range is defined by the level of interactivity a given system has. What do you think? Let me know in the comments.